Mr. Trump, or should I say President Trump, or former President Trump, has finally answered the question that is consuming the nation. What is his real plan for Ukraine? And it wasn't quite satisfying for a lot of people. According to Michael Tracy, he says he'll get the European countries to match what the U.S. is sending to Ukraine. That's not a call for cutting off arms to Ukraine. It's a call for increasing arms. He also once again brags that he increased funding to NATO. All right, so let's listen for ourselves and see what he had to say.
And you know, Ukraine's an interesting case. People always want to know my feeling. Number one, we're in for 200 billion plus, and the European nations are in for 20 billion. And it's more important for them. And don't you think they should equalize? Nobody asks them. It's like I did with NATO. I said, we're paying for NATO, and we don't get so much out of it. And you know, I hate to tell you this about NATO. If we ever needed their help, let's say we were attacked, I don't believe they'd be there. I don't believe. I know the people. I know them. I can tell you country by country who would be there and who, but I don't believe they'd be there. But I took care of NATO. I said, you got to pay your bills. If you don't pay your bills, we're not going to be there to support you. And the following day, the money came rolling into NATO.
It did?
But the European nations, if you add them up, the economy is about the same size as the U.S., believe it or not. A lot of people are surprised. You add them all up, and they are in for about $20 billion, and we're in for $200 billion because we're stupid. All we have to do is say pay. Nobody ever says to them pay. You don't even hear that. I say pay. And they'll pay too. You have to equalize.
Okay.
Is he going to spend the money on healthcare?
All right. So now, you know, some folks like the Post Millennial tweeted out that it was in the context of, what was he talking about, Keaton? The border wall?
Yeah, he was talking about the border deal that Biden's trying to broker so that he can get funds for Ukraine. And some people tried to spin that as, well, this clip here was taken out of context. No, it wasn't. It's very obvious what he said there. You know, our complaint, we're not looking for World War III at a prorated, you know,
the issue isn't we're
rate.
Paying too much for World War.
Yeah, the issue is not that we're paying too much, right? The issue is that we're on the road to World War.
Yeah. So Jimmy, friend of show Jimmy Dore weighed in on this.
Yes, friend of the show Jimmy Dore.
I follow that guy. I remember Trump saying he would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. WTF happened to that guy? He knows what's actually happening in Ukraine, and yet he's saying warmongering shit like this. America needs a revolution. So as usual, I agree with Jimmy's take. This is why me and Keaton and our friends at RBN who also weighed in on this. We describe ourselves as post-duopoly. We're not playing this shit anymore. Donald Trump is not the savior. He's not a hero. He's not going to come rescue you. There is nobody to rescue you but you. We are going to have to save ourselves with our own actions and our own mutual aid.
Well, luckily, when the war starts, our own fatness may save us, since no one is fit to go fight.
No one's fit enough to fight. Well,
no one's fit enough, and I think we're not even gay enough. I hate to say it.
We might not be. I mean, you know, Dance Dance Revolution is really good for getting us in shape.
That's how you get
maybe
consumers.
Maybe we'll do that.
Bring back Dance Dance.
So
Dance Call of Duty. That's the
that could do it. So this is what our friend Nick Cruz at Revolutionary Blackout Network had to say. There's nothing more cringe than people who pretend Donald Trump is anti-establishment and anti-war. At a recent campaign event, he was promoting funding NATO more. The Make Israel Great Again movement is a joke.
MIGA?
MIGA.
Oh
well, you know why you can't use that. But let's see why Nick said that. What is he talking about? Make Israel great again. But Donald Trump is burning down the whole system. He's fighting the
not Israel. Yeah, that's well known.
This was in 2023. Trump, I fought for Israel like no president ever before.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Hang on. I thought he was anti-establishment.
Well, no.
I thought he was a thorn in the side of the establishment.
Nobody saying that. Almost nobody. Not almost. Almost nobody is
some
going
people,
against.
some
going
people,
against Israel.
Some people is saying. Some people is saying
not
that
Israel.
So you get Trump, and hey, look. Nobody, I would not piss on Joe Biden if he were on fire. It's not, I mean, this is what you get also when you put down Biden with the Democrats. Oh, well, what? You like Trump? No.
Yeah, there's only two possibilities.
So you put down Trump. You like Biden? No. No, none of these.
Well, then
listen to me. None of these people, Elon and Milei and Trump and Biden and frankly, Bernie, AOC, none of these people give a fuck about you. None of them care about you. You're on your own.
The only benefit of Trump is his chaos possibilities of slightly not doing the thing.
I mean, it's
nothing else.
If you're talking about it on the level of what TV show do you want to watch for the next 4 years? Sure, I picked the Trump show.
No. I mean, when we didn't go to war with Iran, that Trump will do 95% of the bad shit they want him to do. 5% of the time he won't do it, and that's the unforgivable. There's investments riding on that.
You're electing him so he can talk about Mika Brzezinski's bleeding face. That's what you're electing him for.
No, Trump, but I mean, I think there's something to that, with Trump, because look, I've said, I'm not voting for either one of them, obviously, but I've said on this show, I've said on our show, when the topic has been asked, gun to my head, would I vote for Trump or Biden? Of course, Trump, because Trump, you're playing Russian roulette with 5 guns in the chamber, and there's an off chance that sixth one will fire a blank and you'll live. Biden, you may as well stick a fucking shotgun right in your mouth and pull the trigger. Because we know we're on the road to hell with Joe Biden. We know he wants World War III.
Here's two good things that we had that Ethiopian reporter on in the Horn of Africa. They all like Trump because he was like, what are we doing in there? Get out of there. He pulled all these troops out, and they're like, hey, we like him. Iran with that drone that they shot down, which legally they totally had every right to do. Mm-hmm. They were like, we got to go to war. They killed our drone. It was a dronecide. And he goes, well, I don't think we should go to war over that. So those are just two things that are good. Again, he's not good, but those are two things that are good.
I could say what I just said, and I'm not going to gaslight you into saying that it's a good idea to play Russian roulette with 5 bullets in the gun. Right.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I don't have to gaslight you about it.
Exactly. Right. That's the point. And we've said that on this show and on our own show. Yeah, like gun to your head, you're going to go for Trump, but there's a very big distance between that and saying, no, man, I mean, Trump's this man of the people looking to burn down the system. For example, we were just talking about Julian Assange. It was within Donald Trump's power and the power of any president to pardon Julian Assange.
Did you see the
Now,
interview?
some people will talk about how, hey, well, they threatened him with impeachment. We'll never know that. But if he has the fucking swinging balls you say he does, he's in that position to pardon Assange and Snowden, he would have done it, right?
Did you
but
see?
But he didn't do that.
Are you going to play this? So Candace Owens interviewing. I've never seen Trump do this before. Candace Owens, she goes, well, why didn't you pardon Julian Assange and Snowden? And Trump, at the time when I saw, he goes, well, I probably should have done that. I've never seen him go, I did something wrong ever. Mm. I was like, good for her asking him that. And his reaction was very interesting.
Interesting. And then, in terms of being a thorn in the side of the military industrial complex. Now, look, I will acknowledge he didn't start new wars. And I have said many times, I'm of the opinion that Donald Trump does not like war. I think he finds it wasteful. And there's a book that Bob Woodward wrote about the first years of the Trump presidency. I think I mentioned this on this show briefly. He describes Trump being very disturbed by calling military families of slain soldiers. I think being an evil New York real estate guy does not prepare you for the kind of evil involved in being in American politics, much less at that level of American politics. Yeah. So I legitimately think he doesn't like war. But at the same time, you are going to get the same policy with Israel.
He vetoed
that you're getting with Biden.
Well, that awful shit.
He did not pardon these people when he had the opportunity. And in terms of the military industrial complex, funding it beyond what it asks for is a pretty funny way of dismantling it. Now, this is the Cato Institute. This is not the Daily Beast, okay? Trump's crazy military budget. The White House, this is when he was still president. It was the final year of his presidency. The White House unveiled its proposed budget for fiscal year 2020, and to the apparent surprise of some military planners, the White House is calling for a top-line national defense budget of $750 billion. Pentagon officials had reportedly anticipated a budget of $733 billion, which would have been a 2.4% increase over last year's. They got a 4.7% increase instead.
Hey, buy yourself something pretty.
Yeah, according to the supporting documentation, the request is intended to provide the Department of Defense with the resources to, quote, remain the preeminent military power in the world, ensure balances of power in key regions remain in America's favor, and advance an international order that is the most conducive to U.S. security and prosperity. Does that sound to you like an administration that is interested in dismantling the deep state and the military industrial complex, one that gives it more money than it asks for?
That it then uses to fuck him? Like he basically paid to shoot himself in the dick? Genius move. Stable genius thing to do, by the way.
He's a very stable genius. So this is the reality. What he's saying here about funding the Ukraine war, but just making sure NATO pays more of it. Let's get real. That is consistent with who he was as president. Is he better than Biden? Yeah, I think so. That doesn't make him good. That doesn't make him a champion of the people.
Has he learned anything from last time? Is really the main question. Because all these guys say all this fancy shit. Vivek, watching him talk.
Well, why? Like, wow, I mean, if he learned something, why is he saying that?
Because you can.
Why you
I know why. Well, I'm not saying he learned something, but let's say he had. You cannot become the president. First of all, you don't have a chance unless A, you say that shit, okay, and then B, precious Israel, the great
right,
Sheldon Adelson,
exactly,
Israel.
Exactly.
There's no way to get elected without saying it. So you have to hope that if you're against any of these things, that the guy is like smart enough to say something at their speech and then backstab all these people. Now I think no help's coming.
There's no reason based on how he ran things the first time around to think that's where he's coming from.
Hope.
Look, he came out and if anything, Donald Trump has run his whole career on pissing those people off. That's what's worked for him. So there's no reason to think, well, he's saying that to placate them. I mean, that was part of DeSantis's mistake among many, was when he talked about these things, he spoke in a way that the base is not going to like.
Well,
Trump will turn around and tell you, oh, yeah, man, I'm going to fucking give Netanyahu a sloppy blowjob in the Oval Office the second I get in. And people go, oh, yeah, Trump, he's fighting the power. What the fuck power is he fighting? Come on, man. The only difference is maybe it takes a little longer for his knees to hit the floor when the fucking generals ask him for money.
That power,
and not even that based on that.
Okay, the power he's fighting is the Sheldon Adelson Zionists versus the Thomas Friedman Obama Zionists that don't that just want Netanyahu out of there to do some two-state solution. Ain't gonna happen. When Trump, in the meantime, is on the side of the I'm all on your side, and those are two sides.
Well, exactly.
There is no side electable that is not one of those two sides.
Right. There's no where do you vote to not be funding Israel, which has universal health care, by the way.
So does NATO.
You could only vote for how you emotionally process all of these horrors. That is what you vote for. When you vote for Trump, you vote for unapologetic bravado and machismo in the face of death and destruction and suffering and horror. When you vote for Biden, you vote for this sort of feigned regret. Whoa, Palestinian lives are worth just as much as Israeli lives. You have to remember that. We really encourage Israel to abide by international law. Oh, what's that? They're not. Oh, that's really...
Wait,
oopsie.
That's the only thing you vote for. You vote for how you get to feel about the horrors of the world. You don't really get to vote for much beyond that. Now, to the extent that, where I do think that, Trump represents, to a certain extent, that sixth chamber of the gun that could be a blank if you get lucky, a pattern of his is he tends to back down from a fight at the last minute because he's a big fucking pussy at heart. And so sometimes... we hate him for that. Like when he, hinted that he might be pardoning Assange and Snowden, and then what did he do? He pussied out at the last minute. when it looked like he was going to go to war with Iran, what did he do? He pussied out at the last minute, and that was a good thing. North Korea, same thing. He gets into a flame war with Kim Jong-un on social media. We think, oh my God, here we go. And he backs down at the last minute. Because ultimately, I think this sounds like an insane thing to say, because on the surface, he is the complete opposite. But he is kind of conflict averse at the end of the day. At the end of the day, he doesn't want to take it here.
Yeah.
You know, he'll talk like he wants to take it there, but at the end of the day, he has backed down from way more fights than he's waged. And that could potentially come in handy on the world stage when the stakes are World Wars 3, 4, and 5 at the same time. Now, does that mean he's a man of peace? Obviously not. You obviously demonstrated that right there. And so, point of all this is that, look, you vote for two different flavors of shit, and there is, as veterans of the Bernie movement can tell you, an opportunity cost to investing in these people, because the end times are here, and we have to be investing in ourselves and each other through mutual aid projects, or also, look, if there's a cause you want to donate to directly, right? If there's a trucker convoy that you want to support because they're getting debanked, give your money to them. Give your time to them.
Right.
Don't invest in any of these people on the off chance that they might accidentally back into not destroying the world.
Wait, you don't think that Jared Kushner's underground tunnel connected two-state solution plan could maybe turn this around?
Well, I mean, that's what I've been doing more research. That's what Jew Tunnel 3 is going to be about.
Yeah, I was going to get
It's going to be about Kushner's actually behind those tunnels.
We've got the crews ready to go straight out of Brooklyn.
We need a third character, though. We're trying to get Joe Pesci to come on and do a spot in Jew Tunnel 3. You know, like Lethal Weapon, where he came in, he really revitalized the franchise. Yeah.
Hey, come see us do a live stand-up show. We're going to be in Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Michigan, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Philadelphia, Avenel, New Jersey, Boston, Palm Springs, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets. See you at a live show.